Hi everyone, Lady Amalthea here with day 24 of 31 Days of Tarot. So close to the end, oh my goodness. And today's prompt is, what are your top 5 tarot books from 2010 to 2019? Here's the thing, didn't read any. However, that is not to say I did not read any books. Oh, I read a lot of books. I read hundreds of books. My average would be 30 books a year. Generally, and that's a bad year. I am a voracious reader. I consume ebooks, physical books, audiobooks, and books are one of my greatest passions. I could read before I started school, much to the annoyance of some of the teachers because I would always be reading ahead. Yeah, that hasn't changed. And yeah, reading's always been one of my great passions. Don't read as much as I used to, simply because I get distracted by other things and my brain isn't always on my side when it comes to reading. And so what I did was I went through my Goodreads account where I keep track of pretty much everything I read, and I thought, what are some of the top spiritually related books that I read in that time? And I wrote a list. It's a very messy list. Because I also was thinking about this while I was doing my morning journal entry. And I thought to myself, okay, what are some of those books that have really impacted me in the last decade, maybe longer? So here goes. Now, in literally no particular order, I would like to say that Rebecca Campbell's work, her books Light is the New Black and Rise, Sister Rise, 2 excellent books. Rebecca Campbell and I are from a similar part of Sydney, and I think she's not that much older than me. So she tells a story about, in Light is the New Black, about a girl who dies from ecstasy, and I remember when that happened. It was quite a famous kind of story at the time, and yeah, like they certainly hammered it into us at school. They were like, drugs are bad, this is what happens, because she was a girl from our area. I can't remember like exactly which school, but like in the back of my mind I know I do know. So she tells stories that I'm familiar with, which made it easy to relate. And I've also done the moving to London to find yourself thing. Didn't work out for many reasons. I'm back in Australia now, but yeah, so yeah, we had a similar-ish kind of journey in some ways, so that was kind of cool. Another book that made a huge impact on me, which I need to finish because it is hard work, is The Artist's Way. And from that book, I got into the usual regular habit. I'll admit this doesn't happen every day, but it happens almost every day, of doing morning pages. Now, if you haven't heard of them, morning pages are first thing in the morning, you write for 3 pages, and it doesn't matter what you write, it's just getting it out of your head. And I have this little journal here that I do my writing in, and I get it all out, and I rarely go back and reread it. Every now and then I do, and very rarely is anyone else allowed to actually read what's in these pages. This is unfiltered, uncensored, just raw me. So I'm very thankful to Julia Cameron.
This came back from
oh
search.
God, sorry, I must have activated my phone and it's been listening to me, stalker. So yeah, Artist's Way, amazing book. I've recommended my housemate read it, and I've given her my old Kindle to read it on because I only have it in Kindle format. Another, not necessarily spiritual book that I absolutely love and have listened to as an audiobook multiple times, is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Now, Elizabeth Gilbert is probably best known for Eat, Pray, Love, which I have read, and it's fine. It's, you know, it's not my favorite book, but I've read it, whatever. I'm actually listening to one of her books in the car at the moment, City of Girls, which I think is her latest, or one of her latest, and I think Elizabeth Gilbert is a fabulous literary writer, and I also absolutely love Big Magic, which is about the creative process and how to be creative. And I listen to it when I need like a creative boost, and I always feel amazing when I listen to it. So it's definitely one I can highly recommend. And the audiobook is narrated by Elizabeth Gilbert, and it's just a delight to listen to. Another book that has made a huge impact on me, and many of the books by this author I have read, I do own as ebooks. I've gotten rid of all of her physical books, but that's Doreen Virtue, and the first book of hers I read was The Lightworker's Way, and I realized because of reading that book there are other people who are into spiritual stuff who aren't just my family, and that was a pretty significant thing for me at the time. Yes, I read that book in 2006, but I have reread it since. I no longer have my copy, which is a shame on one hand because it is a signed copy, but on the other hand, obviously I needed to release it, so you know. So then we have further down on the list Stephen D. Farmer, who I mentioned his oracle decks a few times in these videos, but I also want to mention his actual books. And he's written a lot of things about power animals, and he's really great on that topic. He's got like a nice big fat book about all the different animal, well, not every animal, but a huge variety of animal meanings, and explanations as when they show up and what they mean to you, and it's a fabulous book. I highly recommend it. He's also got a great meditation for helping you find your animal, which did help me get closer to my animal. It didn't narrow it down, but it helped me get a closer kind of impression. So he's also got an Earth Magic book, which I really want to read. It's on my list. Another author who I mentioned yesterday, Scott Alexander King. His book Earth Mother Dreaming is just absolutely beautiful, just beautiful, beautiful book. And two authors who you can't talk about spiritual books and not mention are Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer. And I met Louise Hay, and she was just light incarnate. You know, we wouldn't have Hay House without Louise Hay. The spiritual new age industry wouldn't be what it is without her and her work. So You Can Heal Your Life is an amazing book. I don't know if I necessarily agree with everything she's ever said, but she was an incredible woman, and certainly it helps you reframe things a lot of the time. And yeah, I really love her work. And Wayne Dyer, also just amazing. My mum got to see him talk once and said he was just incredible. I've watched a lot of his videos and read a lot of his books and listened to his audio books, and yeah, I'm a big fan. And like, yeah, I think he was a pretty cool kind of dude. And I thought what was very generous, after Wayne passed away, his family made his books available very cheaply. So for example, like they were 99 cents or $1 or whatever it was, as Kindle ebooks, so that people who were very keen to commemorate Wayne by reading his work were able to afford them. Whereas a lot of the time when people pass away, their estate will absolutely jack up the prices, and you will have to spend a fortune on getting any of their material. And this goes across the board, from writers to musicians to painters, whatever, all kinds of different creative people. So I thought that was a very kind and generous thing that the Dyer family did. I also want to finish up with Lucy Cavendish, who I did also mention yesterday. I've read a few of Lucy's books. Most recently, I read Spellbound, and I want to get my hands on a copy of The Lost Lands again, because that is just a beautiful book. And lastly, I want to mention a book of hers that has just come out, which is this. Check this out. Magical Fairy Tales, an enchanted collection of retail tales, Lucy Cavendish, and the art is by Jasmine Beckett Griffith, who you might recognise, has done quite a few of Lucy's decks. This was my Christmas present to myself, and it is just like, it is a huge book, all beautiful with magic in it, and like if I had kids I'd be reading this to them, and it explains about the stories themselves and goes into magical workings and details, and it's just the most beautiful book. Yeah, it's beware, for witches, wolves and wonders lie within. I generally don't buy physical books anymore, simply because I don't have the space. I have 2 bookcases worth of books over east that I need to get over here and work out where to put. Some of those books I will probably be parting with, but a lot of them I won't. And every now and then I do replace them with Kindle books when they are cheap, because I've already bought the books. I don't necessarily want to have to pay for them twice. Or then there are books like The Hobbit that I have multiple copies of. One moment. So I try not to buy physical books so much, but like, that's illustrated and beautiful, and I couldn't go past it. I just had to. And I want to show my gorgeous necklace that arrived yesterday. I don't know if you can read it, getting too close to the screen. It says, "Toss a coin to your witcher," because like the whole internet, I am obsessed with The Witcher and the song by Jaskier, "Toss a coin to your witcher." And my wonderful friend Cassie of the amazing designer Femcraft made this, and it arrived from over east super quick, and I just love it. So that's my touchstone piece of jewelry for today. I will take it off before I get into the pool because I'm going to hydrotherapy later, but yeah, so those are some of the books I read, or will read in the case of the Lucy Cavendish Fairy Tales book. And interestingly, they correspond, yeah, every single one of those authors, every single one of the decks I mentioned yesterday in my Oracle video, I mentioned the authors today. It just happens that a lot of the authors I like have made decks that I like. What an interesting coincidence. Yeah, because I thought, like, if I do a video about tarot books, it's nothing, or I just talk about good guidebooks out of my 12 tarot deck collection. So I thought this would be a bit more interesting. So yeah, that's today's video. I thank you very much for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, all those fabulous things. It's a delight to watch everyone else's videos. There's too many of them to keep up with, oh my goodness. But they are great, and I'm very much enjoying this, and I can't believe we're getting towards the end. We're doing a great job. I'm so proud of everyone, and to all the wonderful channels I've discovered, and oh, it's just a delight. So thank you very much, everyone. Many blessings, and until tomorrow.